Rudy Giuliani has been held liable for defaming the two Georgia election workers, and he's been sanctioned by a judge. Let's talk about it. Hey y'all, welcome back to the channel. I am Tabitha, and Rudy Giuliani is getting his karma. A federal judge issued a default judgment against Rudy Giuliani on yesterday, maybe the day before, in regards to a civil suit that Lady Ruby and Shay Moss filed against him for defamation of character. Remember the lie that he told about them, spread this lie amongst the MAGA crowd, stating that they were doing something with the ballots, and all lies, and those poor women had to deal with some horrific hate. People showing up to their houses, demanding stuff from them, threatening them. It's terrible. But anyway, they have that point of discovery when, you go just before trial. And Rudy Giuliani claimed that he had all of this stuff, this information, never turned it over. The judge gave him extension after extension after extension, and he just never produced anything. And so she got sick of it. And she says, well, if you are not going to produce anything, then yeah, technically Ruby and Shay have won their civil suit against Rudy Giuliani. I got an article from CNBC. Here's what they are reporting. A federal judge on Wednesday issued a default judgment against former Trump lawyer Rudy Giuliani and ordered him to pay sanctions of nearly $133,000 in a defamation and civil conspiracy lawsuit by two Georgia election workers whom he claimed mishandled ballots in the 2020 presidential contest. Judge Beryl Howell imposed the default judgment and monetary punishment because Giuliani repeatedly failed to comply with her orders to turn over electronically stored documents and other evidence sought by lawyers for the election workers, Ruby Freeman and Shay Moss. Howell blasted Giuliani for willful misconduct and slippery statements in failing to turn over the requested information as part of the legal process known as discovery. The bottom line is that Giuliani has refused to comply with his discovery obligations and thwarted plaintiffs Ruby Freeman and Wandrea Arshay Moss procedural rights to obtain any meaningful discovery in this case. Judge Howell wrote this in a 57-page opinion that nodded at Giuliani's recent criminal indictment with, former President Donald Trump. But she wrote an order. I've got the order with some notes from work, but I'm going to read the order itself because the order itself is only 3 pages long. So let me read it. Upon discovery of plaintiffs Ruby Freeman and Wandrea Arshay Moss motion for discovery sanctions, ECF number 81, the related legal memoranda in support and in opposition, the exhibits and declarations attached hereto, the parties' updated joint status report, ECF number 89, and the entire record herein, for the reasons set forth in the accompanying memorandum opinion, it is hereby ordered that plaintiff's motion for discovery sanctions, ECF number 81, in the form of default judgment and an award for attorney's fees and costs associated with filing the motion is granted. So he got to pay for sanctions. He's got to pay their attorney's fees, and whatever the amount will be for civil damages, punitive damages, all of that. It is further ordered that default judgment will be entered against defendant Rudolph W. Giuliani on his liability for plaintiff's defamation, intentional infliction of emotional distress, civil conspiracy, and punitive damage claims pursuant to Federal Rules of Civil Procedures 37E, 2C, and 37B, 2A. 6 it is further ordered that by September 20th, 2023, the parties shall confer and submit a proposed schedule governing future proceedings in this matter, including 3 proposed dates for trial on damages. C Fed R Civil or CIVP 55B to B in the period from November 2023 to February 2024, and with associated proposed dates for any pretrial motions and a pretrial conference. So, yeah, they have to submit 3 dates where they could have this hearing in front of a jury, and a jury can decide how much is Rudy Giuliani liable for defamation against Lady Ruby and Shay Moss. He's already lost. He refused to provide discovery. He used the excuse that the FBI had confiscated his phone after a search that they did. And the judge just was not buying it. Provide something. He was providing nothing. And so she ruled. He doesn't want to provide discovery. Lady Ruby, Shay Moss, you have won your case. Period. Goes on to say, it is further ordered that by September 8, 2023, plaintiffs shall submit their costs and attorney's fees incurred in preparing and filing the motion for discovery sanctions, ECF number 81, with any objection by defendant Rudy Giuliani due by September 15th, and replied by plaintiffs by September 20th. It is further ordered that by September 20th, in order to facilitate preparation for a trial on any damages owed to plaintiffs, defendant Rudolph Giuliani is directed to A, produce complete responses to plaintiffs' requests for production, RFP, numbers 40 and 41, which he was previously ordered to produce by June 30th, 2023. B, to ensure that Giuliani Communications, LLC, and Giuliani Partners, LLC, collectively the Giuliani businesses, produce complete responses to plaintiffs' requests for financial documents and viewership metrics, including RFP numbers 19 and 35, seeking records sufficient to show how his podcast, called Common Sense, generates revenue, including through advertising agreements and distribution contracts, and records sufficient to summarize viewer and listener metrics for Giuliani's statement on social media and Common Sense from the date of original publication through the present, including reach, count, page visits, posts, shares, time spent, impressions and listener numbers, and the number of online views and or impressions of any statements Giuliani made about the plaintiffs as described in the amended complaint 57-101 ECF number 2022, as well as designate one or more corporate representatives to sit for depositions on those businesses' behalf. So he has to produce all of this information in regards to his podcast that he has, and I guess it's titled Common Sense. They want to know how much ad revenue he has gotten through that podcast, how many impressions. They getting ready to break this down. Sounds like Lady Ruby and Shay Moss are going to be the owners of Common Sense, the podcast. C. Reimburse plaintiffs' attorneys and costs associated with their successful first motion to compel discovery. C. MOT compel ECF number 44 in the amount totaling $89,172.50. So they've gotten an estimate of what Lady Ruby and Shay Moss attorneys' fees are so far, and that's $89,172.50. He needs to pay that. And then with interest on that amount to accrue from July 25th, 2023, which is when this reimbursement payment was originally due. D. To ensure that the Giuliani businesses reimburse plaintiffs' attorney fees associated with their successful motion to compel discovery from those businesses. Giuliani Partners and Giuliani Communications and Giuliani Businesses motion ECF number 70 in the amount totaling $43,684 with interest on that amount to accrue from September 20th, 2023 against defendant Rudy Giuliani personally if his businesses fail to timely comply. So if the businesses don't come through to reimburse the plaintiff's attorney's fees that they've already paid, the $43,684, starting September 20th, that amount will also start to collect interest. Ordered that as a sanction for defendant's failure timely to reimburse plaintiffs $89,172, that's the other amount for the attorney fees, by July 25th, the jury will be instructed that they must, when determining an appropriate sum of punitive damages, infer that he is intentionally trying to hide relevant discovery about his financial assets for the purpose of artificially deflating his net worth, unless he produces fulsome responses to plaintiff's RFP numbers 40 and 41 by September 20th, 2023, in which case the mandatory instruction may be converted to a permissive one. So ordered on day August 30th, 2023, Judge Beryl A. Howell. So if he doesn't do this, then they have to do this. And if he doesn't do this, then they have to do this. She covered her bases. And Rudy Giuliani is, I don't know. To me, he's trying this in the court of public opinion and not in the court of law. See, he can go on to his podcast and tell the MAGA supporters that Lady Ruby and Shay did this, and this, and provide no facts, and the MAGA cult will believe him. Well, it doesn't work that way in a court. The judge wants him to produce all of the things that he said happened. The judge wants him to produce it. That's a part of discovery. Lady Ruby and Shay Moss have already provided their discovery, proving that what he said is wrong. Right? And his excuse is that, the FBI, they did a search of my condo, my apartment, my house, and they confiscated my phone. So I don't have a lot of those documents. Judge is like, that's not my problem. That's not my problem. So, yeah, the next phase of this is there will be a trial. And the jury will hear what went down. They will see Lady Ruby and Shay Moss's discovery, what they have provided towards the court. And then they will decide how much Rudy Giuliani owes Lady Ruby and Shay Moss for the traumatization, the harassment, the death threats, people showing up at their house. They had to move out of the state of Georgia. Uh, Lady Ruby talked about when she was subpoenaed to speak at the January 6th hearing, she talked about how she felt her name was taken from her, because if she went to the grocery store and somebody saw in the grocery store, she was terrified that they would say her name and other people would overhear. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I can't wait to see what the jury awards.